For the Indian way, let's prepare for the Indian way.
Most important word in our business is desire. How to create desire. So the marketing is not for us.
The Billionaire's Tears. The secret letter that changed tennis forever. Hold on tight, because what you're about to hear goes beyond a typical sports story. It unfolds like a cinematic moment, the kind that keeps you locked in from the very first second. Welcome back to Court Eva Tennis, where we break down the biggest serves, the most unexpected upsets, and today, without a doubt, one of the most emotionally charged and shocking developments the women's game has seen in recent years. If you thought the battles on the sun-soaked hard courts of the Miami Open 2026 were intense, just wait until you look behind the curtain. This isn't just a story about what happens on court. It lives in the hearts of every underdog believer, every fan who dares to trust what isn't guaranteed, and anyone who understands what it means to carry a nation's hopes while still finding the strength to step up and swing. The whispers had already started. They spread quietly at first, moving through the players' lounge, then exploding across social media like wildfire. And now, the confirmation has arrived with the same weight and intensity as a Wimbledon final point. Sudden, decisive, impossible to ignore. The rumors weren't rumors anymore. The story has been confirmed, and in that moment, the tennis world feels like it's standing on the edge of something it may never be able to go back from. Bernard Arnault, the powerful figure behind the world's largest luxury empire, has reportedly made a deeply personal and emotional vow to support 20-year-old Filipino tennis sensation Alexandra Eala in a way the sport has never seen before. This isn't just another sponsorship or a handshake in a polished boardroom. It goes far beyond that. It's described as a full, all-encompassing commitment, covering every part of her professional journey, from travel and accommodation to elite coaching, recovery, and the day-to-day costs required to compete at the highest level. And the moment that set all of this in motion wasn't a press conference or a negotiation. It was something far more human. A handwritten letter, honest, unfiltered, and deeply personal. It came from a 20-year-old girl in the Philippines, and somehow its words reached one of the most powerful men in the world and moved him to tears. Just pause and let that settle. Bernard Arnault, the architect behind a global luxury empire and a strategist known for shaping entire markets, wasn't moved by a polished pitch, a corporate presentation, or a high-budget campaign. Instead, it was a simple, heartfelt letter, filled with struggle, gratitude, and raw, unfiltered emotion that broke through everything. No marketing agency could have crafted it, and no amount of money could replicate its authenticity. It was real, and that's exactly what made it powerful. And as this story continues to unfold, it's hard not to feel something deeper. So now, let's take a closer look from the blazing hard courts of the Miami Open 2026 to the inner circles of one of the world's most powerful luxury empires. This story unfolds across every layer, revealing what it truly means for Alexandra Eala, for the Philippines, and for the future of professional tennis itself. Long before any backstage drama came to light, Eala was already turning heads on the court. She arrived at the Miami Open 2026 carrying the momentum of a remarkable season, not as an unknown name, but as a player who had already proven she belonged among the world's best, and in Miami, she arrived ready to prove it once again. Her first major test came against the experienced German competitor Laura Siegemund, a veteran known for her tricky style and relentless competitiveness. What followed was a grueling three-set battle, the kind of match that defines careers, where momentum shifts, the crowd fades into the background, and everything comes down to belief. In that moment, Eala showed exactly what she's made of. She fought her way back, point by point, refused to back down, and tapped into the raw, emotional intensity that has become her signature. When she walked off the court victorious, the Philippines erupted, and the tennis world took notice. Then came Magda, presenting an entirely different challenge. Where Siegemund tested resilience, Linette tested intelligence, a player full of variety, subtlety, and quiet danger. But Eala responded with a performance many have described as surgical. Precise, composed, and ruthless when it mattered most, executing with the kind of control and maturity that separates rising talent from true contenders. She navigated the match with a level of control far beyond her years, once again proving that she isn't just rising, she has already arrived. Another win, another step forward, another chapter in the ever-growing story of the girl from Manila, who refuses to stop writing her own destiny. Her run at the Miami Open 2026 eventually came to an end in the round of 16 against Karolina Muchova, a former Grand Slam finalist and one of the most technically gifted players on the tour, but make no mistake, losing at this stage was not a failure. It was a marker, a valuable data point on the map of a career clearly heading towards something extraordinary. More than just the results, it was the way Eala competed, her hunger, her focus, her emotional investment in every single point, that signaled to the world that something special is taking shape and people are paying attention. Among them was Bernard Arnault, not just watching but feeling the story unfold. This is where the narrative shifts from sport into something almost mythological. Arnault, a man who built his empire on the pursuit of true excellence, not the manufactured kind, but the kind born from passion, discipline, and an uncompromising standard, recognized something familiar. A philosophy that defines every LVMH brand, where products are not just items, but expressions of craft and care, seemed to echo in her journey when he truly encountered her story. Not just the highlights, but the raw, unfiltered truth behind it. It resonated on a level far beyond business. In her most difficult moments, Eala spoke openly about what excellence means to her, about using the relentless pursuit of mastery as fuel during lonely training sessions, in empty courts, in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It was in those unseen moments, driven by belief and purpose, that her story became more than sport. It became something powerful enough to move even the most untouchable figures in the world. In the quiet hours of the early morning, when no one was watching, no one was clapping, and there was nothing to push her forward except belief and hunger, Eala kept going. But in her letter, she didn't just share the dream. She told the truth of what that journey really looks like. The sacrifices, the pressure, the doubt, and the relentless work behind every breakthrough. And this is the part that reportedly moved Bernard Arnault, a man known for his composure and authority in every room he enters, to a rare emotional response. Eala opened up about the realities of being an independent professional tennis player from the Philippines. The nights spent in modest accommodations, the constant budgeting decisions that most top-ranked players never have to consider, and the pressure of knowing that a single poor stretch of results could impact not just rankings, but her ability to continue competing at all. She spoke about the invisible weight of representing an entire nation still waiting for its first top 10 women's tennis player, the expectation not only to win, but to prove that Southeast Asia belongs on the sport's grandest stages. She reflected on the silence of her early years, the long, unseen grind with no crowds, no cameras, no sponsors, just a young girl, a racket, and a promise to her family and herself that she would never quit. For Eala, tennis was never just a profession or performance. It was the purest form of self-expression she knew. With every match, she carried a quiet vow to her parents, to her country, and to every young Filipino girl daring to believe that the biggest stages in the world might one day belong to them too. She didn't focus on scores or accolades. She spoke instead about her family. Her mother, a SEA Games swimming medalist, and her father, her constant pillar of support, whose belief in her journey has been the foundation of everything she has built, and perhaps most striking of all, she never asked Bernard Arnault for anything. There was no proposal, no sponsorship pitch, no list of demands, just gratitude. She poured her heart onto paper and simply thanked him for building something that inspired her. That was the standard she was chasing. And that, more than anything, is what reportedly moved him deeply. According to sources close to the Arnault family, the moment he finished reading the letter was profoundly transformative. There was a long, heavy silence and then tears. Not the polished performative emotion of a public figure, but raw, private, unguarded tears from a man completely caught off guard. Someone suddenly reminded of why all of this truly matters. Why excellence matters, why supporting it matters, why the world grows better when those with immense resources choose to lift raw talent instead of simply chasing profit from it. The decision to fund every part of Eala's professional journey was not born in a boardroom or shaped through layers of executives. It came from instinct, from the heart, from the same inner force that once built Bernard Arnault's empire. Not just the pursuit of wealth, but a deep belief in the power of human excellence to inspire and move others. And in that moment, Eala did exactly that. She moved him. Now, when you begin to unpack what this means for her future, the implications are nothing short of staggering. Elite-level professional tennis is brutally expensive, far beyond what most fans ever realize. Competing on the WTA Tour requires constant travel across continents, elite accommodations, and a full support system that includes coaches, trainers, physiotherapists, and specialists. Add to that the cost of equipment, tournament logistics, nutrition, recovery, and the relentless mental demands of competing at the highest level of a global sport, and the financial pressure becomes overwhelming for many players, especially those without strong national backing or major sponsorships. It is not just about talent, it is about survival. And that is exactly what makes this moment so transformative for Alexandra Eala. In countries with well-established tennis federations, many of these overwhelming costs are absorbed by the system itself. But for an independent player from the Philippines, those burdens fall directly on the athlete and their family. This isn't some abstract challenge in Alexandra Eala's story, it's been her reality. And that's exactly why her letter carried so much weight. She wasn't speaking in hypotheticals. She was revealing the true texture of her daily professional life. Now, with the full backing of Bernard Arnault's personal commitment, the entire trajectory of her career shifts overnight. The possibilities on the coaching side alone are extraordinary. At the highest level of women's tennis, the gap between a good coach and a truly elite one can mean the difference between an early exit and a deep Grand Slam run. The players who consistently reach the latter stages aren't just talented, they're supported by world-class teams. Their technique is constantly refined, their strategies meticulously prepared for each opponent, and their physical condition carefully managed by specialists who know exactly how to peak performance at the right moments. With financial limitations removed, Eala now has access to every one of these advantages. The freedom this brings to travel and scheduling is just as significant for players on tight budgets. Every decision, every flight, every hotel, every tournament is weighed against potential returns in ranking points and prize money. That pressure can force difficult compromises, skipping key warm-up events, playing through injuries, or sacrificing recovery time simply because the cost of rest feels too high. But when that financial strain disappears, so do those compromises. Suddenly, the best version of Alexandra Eala can show up more often, better prepared, fully recovered, and ready to compete at her highest level. And perhaps most transformative of all is the mental shift this support creates. When the constant weight of financial uncertainty is lifted, it frees an athlete to focus entirely on performance, growth, and belief, unlocking a level of clarity and confidence that can redefine not just matches, but an entire career. Sports psychology has long highlighted the connection between financial security and performance confidence. When an athlete steps onto the court free from financial anxiety, no longer burdened by the hidden consequences of a loss beyond rankings, they compete with a level of freedom that can genuinely elevate performance. And that's where this story begins to expand beyond tennis into something much bigger. Across both the sports and business worlds, questions are now emerging. Is this the beginning of a new model of athlete patronage? We've seen wealthy individuals invest in athletes before, but almost always through structured sponsorships, brand deals, and calculated commercial returns. What Bernard Arnault has reportedly done feels fundamentally different. This doesn't appear to be about brand alignment or marketing value. It appears to be driven by something far more human, a genuine connection and a desire to ensure that extraordinary talent is given a fair chance to thrive. If that mindset spreads, if more individuals of influence begin asking not what can this athlete do for me, but what could this athlete become with the right support, the ripple effects could be transformative, especially for underfunded talent across the world. It also forces a deeper conversation about the structure of tennis itself. For decades, the sport has quietly operated within an uneven system where financial background and federation support often shape opportunity as much as raw ability. Elite coaching, world-class facilities, and the financial runway required to develop from junior levels to the professional stage are not equally accessible. Many talented players never make it, not because they lack skill, but because they run out of resources. Alexandra Eala's story and the response it has sparked shine a powerful light on those inequalities. The fact that a simple handwritten letter describing those realities with honesty and vulnerability could move one of the world's most powerful billionaires to tears and decisive action suggests something important. These stories matter. And when they are told with truth and courage, they carry the power not only to inspire but to change the system itself. When told honestly and when they reach the right ears, stories like this have the power to change everything. As for what comes next on the court, the remainder of the 2026 season just became far more thrilling. The European clay season is approaching. leading into the French Open, one of the most physically and technically demanding Grand Slams of the year. Then comes Wimbledon on the grass and the US Open on the hard courts of New York. Each tournament is now not just an opportunity, but a monumental chance for Alexandra Eala, competing under circumstances fundamentally different from just a month ago. Expectations are rising within the court EVA tennis community and among fans worldwide. The kind of support she now has changes her trajectory, accelerates her timeline, and removes the friction that previously slowed an already impressive rise through the rankings. Conversations about a top 10 breakthrough are no longer speculative or wishful. They're grounded in analysis from experts, former players, and those who understand the full scope of what Alex has demonstrated and what she is poised to achieve. There is, however, one final dimension of this story that deserves recognition: courage. It takes enormous courage to write a letter like the one Alex reportedly sent. Not a plea for help, but a message of pure honesty and gratitude, revealing the true contours of her journey. That act carries vulnerability, the risk of exposing struggle in a world where athletes are expected to radiate confidence at all times. It means letting someone powerful see beyond the polished exterior to the human being underneath. Working tirelessly, carrying immense responsibility, yet doing it with grace, love, and an unwavering refusal to give up. That courage is the most remarkable part of this story. More remarkable than the billionaire's tears, more remarkable than the scale of the financial commitment, more remarkable than the competitive implications for the season ahead. Alexandra Eala sat down and wrote the truth. And that truth changed everything. This is what champions tennis is truly about. Not just scores, statistics, or rankings, but the human stories that live within the numbers. The stories that remind us why we fell in love with this sport in the first place, why we stayed up late watching matches from the other side of the world, why we scream at our screens, hold our breath on every break point, and feel genuine joy when someone we've never met wins a match on a court we may never step onto ourselves. Because sport at its core is connection, and Alexandra Eala's story is connection at its most powerful. The Eala era isn't coming, it's already here. It arrived at the Miami Open in the form of a young woman fighting with every ounce of her heart, defeating opponents with more experience and resources. It arrived in the form of a letter that reminded the world what honesty, gratitude, and real human struggle look like. And it arrived in the form of a billionaire's tears, the most eloquent testimony to the power of a story told without calculation, without fear. Alex, we see you. The whole world sees you, and we cannot wait to witness what comes next. Now it's time to hear from you, the incredible court EVA tennis community. This story has captivated us from the first word to the last. And we know you have thoughts. Do you believe that the full backing of Bernard Arnault is the missing piece that could launch Alexandra Eala into the top 10 by the end of 2026? Which Grand Slam do you think will be her breakthrough? Roland Garros, Wimbledon, or the US Open? And what single line from that handwritten letter struck you as the most powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every response, and hearing from you means more than you can imagine. If this story moved you even a fraction of how it moved us, smash that like button with everything you've got. It costs nothing, but it makes a world of difference to a channel that brings you the most passionate, honest, and emotionally rich tennis content every week. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a single update on Alexandra Eala's journey, the unfolding drama of the 2026 tour, and every unmissable story where tennis and the human spirit collide. We've got so much more coming. Big interviews, exclusive breakdowns, and updates on how this extraordinary new chapter in Eala's career is already reshaping conversations in the sport's most important rooms. You do not want to miss what comes next. This has been Court EVA Tennis, where champions are made, stories never end, and every match matters. We'll see you in the next one.
Most important word in our business is desire. How to create desire. So the marketing is not for us part of the...
We're proud of you. Thank you.
Alexandra Eala, for the Indian way.